Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, which is 10 a.m. if you're in Australia or 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. Hope you guys and girls are well, you had a good weekend. Hellforge, good morning to you, and Android Lust, good morning to you as well. I saw the new character you put in the gallery on the Phil Does 3D Discord. It looks really cool. I'll show it later on toward the end of the stream. Remind me if I forget Android Lust. But I do want to show it because it does look really cool. It's probably one of my favorites that you've done so far. All your work is great, but that one particularly. Coffee? Yes, it is coffee time. Hang on. What's going on here? Let me see my request. There we go. Yes, it is coffee time. Oh, I do like coffee. And thank you. There's the Discord server that Hellforge has just popped into Twitch chat. So if you want to join the Phil Does 3D Discord, click that link. You'll get an invite to join up with the Discord server. You can show images and stuff that you're working on in the gallery. You can link to your portfolio or your art station, all that sort of stuff. Smurfberry Barbecue, it's good to see you as well. I hope you are well. I hope you guys had a good weekend and you're staying safe and healthy, because the human malware here in Melbourne is not good. It's starting to get higher and higher and higher. So yes, we are back down in lockdown here in Melbourne where I live. And yeah, wash those hands. Don't touch that face. Stay healthy. No malware for you. No malware for me either. I'm healthy. But yeah, so far I can relate. What are we doing? We are working on the House in the Hollow games. Actually, let's backtrack. If you're new to my stream and you want to know more about me, you can go to my website, phildoes3d.com. So just my Twitch username, put a .com on the end, and there's links to my art station, my Twitter, and all that sort of jazz there. But we are working on the House in the Hollow game, which is this game right here, which you can wishlist right now on Steam. Just click the graphic in my panels or type !Steam in Twitch chat. So yes, this is the game we are going to be working on. And we're going to be working on the attic for this game. So that's what we're doing. We're working actually on a spiral staircase for the attic to get there. Thank you, Hellforge. There's a link in Twitch chat now if you want to wishlist the game. So yes, we're working on a spiral staircase. Last week we worked on UV mapping it up. So it's all UV mapped. Let's jump into Max. But what we need to do now is we need to vertex color it, and then we can take it into Substance Painter and bring it to life. Start texturing it up. I'm just going to have a quick drink. So yes, texture it up in Substance Painter. What was I going to say? After we vertex color it, so let's do that. Android Lust says, yeah, post-progress stuff. So let's start vertex coloring this. We vertex color it so that when we bring it into Substance Painter, we can use one texture and assign different materials to different sections. It's just easier to work. Now this is a game model, so that's why I vertex color it so that I can use one texture. If I was doing this for a cinematic, like you guys that are regulars to my channel saw when I made the cinematic for the House in the Hollow, when we were doing the assets for that, I wasn't doing one texture map, so I basically broke the model up into different sections and textured each section separately with a separate texture map. That's because it was a cinematic and I wanted the highest quality for the cinematic. But because it's a game model, we're going to vertex color it so we can use one texture map, which reduces the draw calls. Apparently with UE5 though, draw calls are not going to be an issue anymore. So the new version of Unreal Engine, which is due to be released at the end of next year, I believe around September. From what Epic Games seem to be saying, polycounts are no longer an issue. What was I just saying? Polycounts are not an issue. The lighting is going to be real-time radiosity, so they're calling it lumen, and draw calls are no longer should no longer be a problem either. So you don't have to worry so much, which is cool because draw calls are always a pain. Android Lust says that was directed to help. Oh, okay. Smurfberry says unlimited power. That's right, unlimited power with UE5 apparently. Now, like I said to you, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, we spoke about with the UE5 having unlimited poly counts apparently, that it's going to push game sizes to huge downloads because the bigger the poly count, the higher the file size. Epic Games are working on something though, which is like some form of compression. So basically when you package the game up, they're going to be using some type of compression. So that'll hopefully help bring the file sizes down. Because I think Epic know when you start, like I said, getting these huge poly counts, you start getting huge file sizes. So that they've got to try and bring it down a bit. But still, don't use huge poly counts, even if you can, just because you can. It's great that you don't have to worry about that sort of thing anymore. Well, you won't have to soon, but you still want to be sensible when you're making a game. So just putting that out there. But yeah, just the fact that you won't have to worry about draw calls is a major win, because that sort of thing is when you start optimizing a game, it's a major pain, a real pain. So as always, guys, while I'm working, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask me in chat. You won't be interrupting me or bothering me. That's the whole reason I'm on Twitch. It's to encourage you guys and girls to do 3D and to help you if I can in any way I can. So feel free to jump into chat and ask me any questions you might have, not regarding what I'm working on. It could be something you're working on. Remember to join the Discord server if you do want to show off any work you're working on, because I love to look at the stuff you guys are making. And I like to show it on stream too, but if you don't want me to show it on stream, just tell me and I won't. I know not everyone is comfortable having their work shown on stream, and remember, all of my previous streams get uploaded to my YouTube channel, so it'll appear there as well. So, Helpwood says, will be interesting to see how they manage that, because I might need a new hard drive just to have the games on, since they're so bloody large these days. I know, look, games before UE5 even comes into existence are still getting huge. If you don't have a really fast connection, you're going to be down. It's going to take you days to download your games. But yeah, I do know that Epic Games are planning some form of compression, file compression. So depending on how good they get that, it could be a big help, particularly with big poly counts, because you know that's what we're all going to do. Even though you shouldn't. Smedbury says, I've been having to juggle installed games because I'm out of storage. Yeah, well, that's the other problem too, storage space. I have two. I have a hard drive for games, and I've got a dedicated SSD for games. So what I tend to do is the games that I'm playing at the moment, I put on the SSD, and the games that I have been playing or I've become bored with, I move those to the hard drive. Because generally most of my games come from Steam, so it's quite easy to move your stuff around. But you're right, it does. It's getting out of control. Hard drive space at a premium all the time. And you guys know I freak out if I see my little hard drives get into the red, because you know how with Windows, once you get past a certain point, it turns red. Whenever I see that, that freaks me out. So I can't have that. Can't have that. Android Lust says, I bought a hard drive just for games. I feel like I need another drive just for games. Well, I've got an SSD, which is a 500 gig SSD, which is just for games. Just for the games I'm playing, I should clarify. And then I use another hard drive for games that I don't play so often. But I still want to keep installed in case I do want to play them. Snowberry says, Bill with his 80 hard. You guys can talk. I saw you guys posted images of what your drive layout looked like in Windows, and you guys have got just as many as I have. So come on. You're all as bad as me. Don't single fill out. Let's start Vertex coloring this up. Snowberry says 3. I have 3 drives. Or do I have to look back here through the Discord to look at the images what you guys posted? When you posted all of your hard drives. I know Android Lust has got just as many as I have. I won't do that. 3. Okay, well, Smurf has got 3 hard drives. Fine. Smurfberry says, OS files and games. Android Lust says I need more. Yeah. Well, you know, in my defense, I need quite a few hard drives because I do work for for 2 different studios, and I like to keep my business stuff separate from my work stuff, separate from my development stuff. I've got a backup drive. I have one which is just my broadcasts on Twitch. That's my games SSD, my OS, and assorted is just for anything else. So I moved the games that I'm not playing regularly, I moved to the assorted drive. Anyway, I don't have too many. I want more. You need more. Yeah, Android Lust needs more and I want more too. So we're going to... That's fine. I'm just going to move out of local space here. I'm just looking at the axes here and I'm thinking, why is it like that? And that's because I'm in local mode. There we go. Okay. That's cool. The axis is in the middle and at the bottom. That's where I want it. That's just so when I bring it into Unreal, it's going to be easy for me to place if the axis is actually at the base here and not in the middle. All right, let's start Vertex Coloring, shall we? Now we're going to try and work out how we're going to be texturing this up. Now it's going to be a wooden staircase, but that doesn't mean it all has to be wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this little piece here at the bottom a yellow, because that can be a metallic brassy type texture, I think. Then we'll make this central helix its own color, so we can texture that up separately. So let's make that a green. Then we'll make these larger column pieces, banisters, that's the word I'm looking for, banisters. Let's make them their own color. So we'll make that an aqua. Android Lust says, be right back. Resetting PC, tablet services stopped working and I don't see it in service. No problem, Android Lust. We'll see you soon. Helpwood says, I only have 2 drives right now, plus 1 external for backups here. My backup drive is external as well. You should always try and have any backup drive as external, just in case your PC catches fire. You don't want to destroy your backup drive because it's inside your computer. That and the fact too that with an external drive for your backups, if there's ever a problem where you have to leave the house quickly, like maybe there's a house fire or who knows in this world we live in these days, what's going to happen? It's easy just to unplug the external drive and take it with you as you run out the door. So, yeah, good advice to always have your backup drive as an external drive. I actually have it directly connected to my computer, but a lot of people, a NAS is another good option, because generally with a NAS you can just pull the drive as you run out the door as well. So you don't need huge amounts of drives, particularly if you're not doing huge amounts of work, I guess. But yeah, I have a few drives because I have work that I do for the ArchViz studio, I have work that I do for the game studio, then I have my own private work as well. Contract work, and I like to keep all of those separate. I don't like to sort of mix all of my jobs together on one hard drive. It makes it easier for me to keep track of everything, basically. And you can never have too many drives. Let's make these large banisters a dark blue, I think. Okay, then we're going to go with these outer helixes. Helpwood says, I do tiny amounts of work, but Substance Painter's file size are more than enough to cover the shortfall. Yeah, I actually haven't looked at how big the file sizes are with Substance Painter. I don't tend to worry about it until my drives turn into the red and then I freak out. But I know Max here, if you start working with really high-res models, high-poly models, the file sizes can become huge. Eon View as well. You guys know that when I do my environment rendering work, I like to use a program that you can't see behind me called Eon View. It's just there. The file sizes of that program can become massive because you can work in tens of billions of polygons in that program, and they become really big. Because with Eon View, when it saves the file, it saves a copy of all the textures that you're using as well inside of the file. So not only do you have really big file sizes because of the tens of billions of polys you're using, but because every texture that you're using gets added to the file. It doesn't it's not like Max, where Max puts a pointer to where the texture is. Eon View tends to collect up all of the textures and put them inside the file. I don't know why they did that. I mean, I guess it's helpful if you're having to share your file with other people in a work group, or in a team. You just have to send the file and they've got everything they need. But it does make the file sizes massive, 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 massive. Let's make this say purple. Okay, then let's do this one here. We'll make it a unique color. Let's make it a dark green. And then we've got the rims at the top and the bottom. Let's make them their own color. Let's make that a dark purple. And then we have these little pieces that are just a bit decorative sort of stuff. So that bit there, this bit here, these little bits in here, this bit here. I've got a few of those on the outside. No. I just noticed a bit of an issue there. I'm going to have to fix in a minute with one of the banisters. Are there any other bits? Actually, this bit at the top, but I'll fix that in a minute. Aside from that, I don't think there are any other little bits and pieces I need to worry about. So let's make these a dark golden yellow. So yeah, this bit up here. Oh, actually it's part of the step. Okay. So let's make the steps their own material as well. I'm running out of colors. Let's make it a dark aqua. Remember to save and drink coffee. Good advice on both counts, Hellforge. It's been half an hour since I don't think it was half an hour since I had a coffee, but that's always a good excuse to drink coffee. Tamana, my apologies for I didn't see the resub. Thank you, Tamana, for the 37-month subscription. Man, you are absolutely awesome. 37 months, wow. Have I been streaming that long? Wow. So thank you, Tamana, for subbing for 37 months. I do appreciate it when you sub to the channel, so thank you. There was one of these banisters, I think I noticed a bit of an issue. This one here, actually, a couple of them here by the look of it. I think what I'm going to do here is, okay, this was the one that I noticed. So let's start with this one. I'm just going to detach it temporarily. so I can it'll make it easier for me just to make a correction to it. And we're just going to pull that up. And now we can reattach it in case I forget later. And just a couple here, it looks like I've ended them a little bit short, so let's just fix these ones up. And let's reattach them. That won't affect our UVs. If I'd scaled it too much, it probably would have stretched the UVs, but because we're only moving at a really small amount, it's not going to affect the UV too bad. Let's do a quick save though, as Helpful suggests, just to be on the safe side. And I'm just going to continue looking over this model to make sure there's nothing else that needs fixing. Thank you, Helpful. Yes, remember, join the Discord server, or if you want, wishlist the game on Steam. Looks like this one here might need correcting as well. I tend to get a bit carried. Well, when I'm modeling up something, I tend to get overexcited, and I can sometimes miss a couple of little bits and pieces. I think with this one, what I might do is actually move the whole thing in. So we want to separate the entire piece. Hellforge says, when you're making game assets, do you make it the real life scale or improvise and shrink it down in engine later? Generally, the best course of action is to actually make it the proper scale for the game that you're working in. Some of my assets I have, some of them I haven't. I've been a bit slack, but it's quite easy to scale it up and down inside of the engine anyway. Just make sure your proportions are correct. Sometimes it can be funny too when you're working in a game engine. If you scale something to the correct scale for the game, sometimes it can look a bit incorrect when you actually start playing the game. So once you actually possess the camera as your character, even though the proportion is correct, it can just look a bit off for some reason. So generally I'll scale up or I'll scale down so it looks correct when I'm actually playing it as the character. But generally you want to scale it to whatever is the correct scale for the character in the 3D engine. That way it saves extra work having to scale inside the engine. But sometimes, like I said, you still have to scale in the engine anyway because things don't look quite right even at the right scale. These steps are probably going to be a good example of that because we have to make sure we allow enough room for the player to actually fit up the step. Like, we don't want the player to get stuck as they're going up the stairs. So generally, even if you kept it to the correct scale, odds are because it's quite a narrow stairwell, odds are the character could get stuck. So generally with something like this, I tend to scale it up to be a little bit larger than what it should be, because it doesn't look odd in the game, but it makes sure that your character doesn't get stuck as it goes up the steps. We can look at that when we bring it into the engine. Android Lust says, the newest Call of Duty has a few scaling issues, but most people probably wouldn't care since they're getting shot at. Yeah, see, that's the problem. That's why it's generally always better to scale it to the character when you're doing the 3D modeling before you export it. It can just, because if you don't, and you don't pick it up while you're actually doing the development of the game, then you can get problems like Android Lust has just said, where some things are not scaled correctly in the game. And it could just be because you generally, when you're making a game, you're bringing a lot of assets in, you're setting up your levels, all that sort of jazz. It can be easy to forget to scale something correctly if it's incorrectly scaled to begin with. So number one advice is always try and scale it correctly initially in the 3D engine before you bring it into the game. You'll save yourself fewer headaches that way. But there will be some assets, the stairwell is a good example, where you will probably have to scale it separately anyway, because you've got to make sure that your character doesn't get stuck. Because I don't know if you guys have played games, but I've played games where you're running around and you get stuck on an invisible wall somewhere or an invisible corner or something, and that's really annoying. And that generally happens because, even though the scaling might be correct, the collision on the character is hitting the actual collision of the object, and it snags you. Sometimes you can't avoid that sort of thing, but you want to try and not have that in the game, because it becomes really annoying. And Helpwatch says that makes sense. I was just curious, as I saw the grid floor in Max and it makes the stairs look massive in comparison. Yeah, don't pay any attention to the grid in Max. These now, I do know, these stairs here are scaled correctly here. So that will be the correct scale when I bring it into Unreal, or it should be. I may have to scale it up a little bit, like I said, once we start playing it, running our character up the stairs to make sure we don't get stuck. But I do know that the scale that you see here in Max for this asset is scaled correctly for the engine. So Max's grid is just a small grid. So yeah, don't pay too much attention to Max's grid. This is the correct scale for the engine, even though the unit setup is the correct unit setup for Unreal. So yeah. Android Lost says, I'm sure the devs purposefully scaled some things bigger though. Well, maybe. I don't know why they would, but maybe. Who knows? These developers are strange people. Strange people. Games developers. And I should know. Let's attach this to the bottom piece here. And I'm just going to reset the pivot on this piece so it's easy for me to adjust. And I'm going to go back into local. We go to local. We'll go into screen so it's easy for me to move. I just wanted to move it in so it wasn't sticking out past the edge there. Now we can go back to view and we can reattach that banister. Okay, continuing to look to make sure there's no other little issues that I can spot. I think everything else looks okay. Alrighty, so they're all part of, okay, let's do the banister railings. We'll keep them as a separate object as well, or a separate color I should say. So let's make them this color. So what is left? What is left will be the railings themselves, which are going to be a bit of a pain to select because there's so many of them and they're in 3 pieces. Actually, let's see if we can do it this way. So if I select all and then deselect what I don't want, it might be quicker.
What have I done? Can someone remind me? 'Cause to me this soul is just a blur. The last thing that I remember is
Max does have a really cool feature actually where you can create selection sets. I don't tend to use it a lot, but it can be really helpful if you're modeling something up. You make a selection, you deselect it, and you want to go back to the selection again. You create a selection set. So just pointing that out there as well, if you're a Max user, it can be really handy. I think I might have forgotten to to do that piece, so I'm going to have to look at that. It snuck in there, I forgot about it. That little block on the end of the railing. So let's deselect the steps. Android Lost says, does Max default the grid to centimeters? I think it does. It used to. It either centimeters or inches. I can't remember which. Autodesk is an American company. I have a feeling it might default to inches, but you have to change it, I believe, to centimeters for Unreal. Yeah, I believe it's inches by default though in Max. Because you Americans, you work in inches, you don't work in centimeters. Android Lost says selection sets work great for characters. Smokeberry says my defaults to centimeters. Well, Max might as well. Again, I'm not completely sure. I can't remember. I know it used to, definitely. When it was 3D Studio, it used to default to inches. But you really should set it up for centimeters, because I'm sure the Unreal Engine defaults to centimeters. I'm pretty sure. 1 centimeter is 1 unit. I believe. Okay. I've forgotten when I modelled this up that these are separate pieces, so I have to look at that as well. I forgot about that. Well, let's concentrate on the railings first, then we'll come back to that. We have these joins on the inside and the outside. I thought they were just on the outside. But I was wrong. Okay, so I believe we should just have the railing selected now, unless I'm forgetting anything, like these little bits here. Railings, 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 railings. Railings. I think we're good. I don't think there's anything selected that shouldn't be. So let's make these their own colour. We'll make this a dark green. Darker still. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is, because I've forgotten what I've done and what I haven't done, I'm going to turn on Vertex Coloring. If I can find the right thing, where are we? And that'll show me anything I've forgotten. And there's a few bits and pieces here I've forgotten, including the inner joins. So let's start with the inner joins. Helford says that's something that frustrates me no end when I go to look up dimensions for items in modelling, and it's in inches and feet. Yes, thank you, America. Inches and feet and Fahrenheit instead of Celsius, all these things that the Americans do. It actually can be a real issue too if you're doing work where you have to transfer stuff between Europe or Australia and the United States because of the different measuring system. It can sometimes cause issues for projects. But you know, America, they've got to do things their own way. Let's just copy the colour from these. Okay, now there's this little bit here as well, which I want to colour the same as this bit here. Helpwood says, please US adopt the metric. I agree. Oh, Android Lust is laughing at the metric system. We do it the correct way, Android Lust says. No, you do it the incorrect way. Most of the world uses the metric system. Thank you, France. But not the United States. The United States do it their own way. Let's make this one the same color as these pieces here. Like, it always amuses me. We have different states in Australia, like the United States has different states. And I don't know about the US, but there are some states in Australia that won't adopt daylight saving. You know, they say things like the cows will get confused and all that sort of stuff if they adopted daylight saving. All these ridiculous excuses. So I can't talk. Daylight savings, not every state in this country does daylight savings, which is just nuts. Daylight savings is great. I mean, the US do use daylight savings. I'm not sure if it's like Australia, where there are some states in the US that don't do it, because there are some in Australia that don't do it. It's just nuts. Nuts, I tell you. Hellforge says, how about we rename metric to freedom units? That's right, freedom units. The Americans would be all for that. Wasn't it? Because I remember the freedom fries when the United States a few years ago had a bit of a spat with France. They wanted to, they didn't want to call them French fries. They called them freedom fries, didn't they? Smurfberry says, I think we have some areas over in the Midwest or Southwest that refuse to do DST, which is daylight saving. I think the Arizona and the Utah area. Yeah, well, there's some states in this country as well that refuse to do daylight saving. It's just insane. I love daylight saving. Android Lust says, but really metric can look better visually. Metric is easier to work out than inches and feet. It's easier to divide in the metric system, which is the whole reason it was created. It's easier. Yeah, it's easy to use than inches and feet and all that sort of jazz. I don't know how you guys in the US do it. Like 2.5 inches to 2.5 centimeters, to an inch, and yeah, no. Metric, nice and simple and easy to use and work out things. One of the best things the French ever did. Hellford says it's basically math wiggles times 10. Even a dense pine cone like me can figure that out. I'll stick to the metric, thank you. But like I said, sometimes if you're doing work for American companies, you have to work in inches, and it's never pleasant. Otherwise, you end up with all sorts of issues. If you're transferring files between the countries and the Americans work on it, then they send it back to you and you work on it. It all has to be consistent, and they want it in inches, so in feet. I don't think there's anything I've forgotten. I'm just again looking over the model to make sure that everything is vertex colored. I think we might be good. I'm just reviewing my vertex coloring now. So the large banisters are going to be separate. The spiral is separate. That's separate from that. The railing is separate. The banisters themselves are a different green. Yes, good. The helix in the middle, and then the bits and bobs that go around the outside of decorative stuff. We should be good. Let me turn off vertex color now, because it just gets distracting. Let's do a quick save. And let's export the model. Let me find the correct folder. I believe I put this under bedroom because it's behind the bookcase, so I really should move it into the attic folder, but I'm just going to call this spiral. You see I already have a spiral stairs there. That's because I was making sure the scaling was correct in Unreal. That's how I know the scale is correct. Spiral stairs. I'm just going to call it paint so that I know that this is the one I'm using in Substance Painter. We will re-export it just as spiral stairs after we've done the paint on it. Okay, let's jump into Substance Painter and create a new project. Bedroom chosen. Spiral staircase, spiral stairs paint. We're going to do a 2K texture because it's a very large asset. It actually covers 2 floors, so we do want to make sure the texture is large enough. We're going to compute tangent space. Important to turn compute tangent space on if you're doing game assets and bringing them into something like Unreal. You must turn that on. Otherwise your normals won't look correct. Okay, let's rename it from Material 0, which is not very descriptive, to Spiral Stairs. And bake out our maps, making sure we turn the ID to Vertex Color. And again, we're going to bake out at 2K, using the low poly as the high poly. Everything sounds okay to you guys? You can hear my mic and all that sort of stuff okay? The only reason I ask is because over the weekend I updated all of my machines to Windows 2004, you know, the new version of Windows that was released, the new update. And it can sometimes cause, actually when I did a test of OBS, it had reset all of my sound devices, so so far so good with the sounds, good to hear. Yeah, I did a test and my mic wasn't recording, you couldn't hear the music playing, because basically every time Windows does one of these major updates that Microsoft released twice a year, not the cumulative updates, but you know, the major updates, it's basically reinstalling the entire operating system again and transferring all of your programs and stuff over. And you know that because generally it leaves behind a windows.old folder, that's the old version. But when it does that, it resets all the sound devices on the computer. So any program that was set up with specific sound devices like pointing to my microphone or pointing to my my music all get reset to default. So Android Lust says, to Hellforge, did you decide not to add the truck in the scene? I caught Hellforge's stream. You guys, again, Hellforge is a streamer. He's also a mod on the channel. My channel, you should check his stream out as well because he's making some really cool stuff, and I saw the truck he was working on. It looks really cool, very cool. So check his channel out, his Twitch channel. Okay, so we've baked out the map. Let us start adding some materials. Now these are my smart materials that again, basically a lot of these are what I created for other bits and pieces in the game. I saved them out of smart materials so I can then reuse them. We'll do that for some of them. Some of them we might, for the stairs, we might do by hand. Hellforge says to Android Lost, I want to have the base environment sorted out first before I add the extra elements like the trucks and Humvees. I still have some work that I need to do on that as well. Yeah. Sniper Echo is posted in Discord. Hey all, not sure why, but I can't join chat. Oh no, the broadcast has ended for me when I join. Really? Are you guys having a problem watching my stream? I presume the stream is live for you all. Let me just reply. It's strange. Twitch can be twitchy. No problems here. I didn't have a problem when I started the stream and there were no issues. Sometimes it can be specific to you, whatever your ISP is that you're using in whatever country you're using. To sometimes there can be individual issues like that as well. but no problem for me either. Just you with the problem. Android Lust says to Sniper Echo in Discord. So yeah, don't think if you just remember too, don't post links in my Twitch chat unless you're a sub to my channel, because you'll get timed out by either Nightbot or one of the moderators. But everyone can post links on the Discord server. So again, that's another reason to join the Discord. You can post links in Discord. Everyone can post links in Discord, but only subs can post links in my Twitch chat. Hellforge has posted an image as well that he wants some feedback on in the gallery in the Discord. We'll look at that toward the end of the stream. So basically what I like to do is I like to see the stuff you guys are making. You post images in my Discord gallery, and then in the last 5 or 10 minutes before I end the stream, I like to look at the stuff you guys make. So I leave it till just before I close off for the day. But we'll look at that just before I sign off later on, Hellforge. And yes, I'm sorry, Sniper Echo, that you can't watch the stream. It must be something specific to you guys in Ireland or your ISP there. Okay, so we're looking for a material. I might just look at this brass dirty. I'm going to mask it with color selection to that piece at the bottom there. We'll zoom in so we can get a better look at it. Let's have a look at what I might do with this one is I might actually add another material underneath of it, I think. Yeah. I'm going to remove this blank layer. That's just created automatically every time you create a new project in Substance. Ellipsis, thank you for the follow, Ellipsis. I do appreciate it, guys, when you follow the channel. So thank you, Ellipsis, for following. I'm going to actually add a texture underneath of this one, so, or material. We should call it what it is. I like to call them text. Everything's a texture to me, but it's actually really a material, not a texture. And again, that's the House on the Hollow game, which is the asset you see me working on. Is going to be for that game, so you can wishlist that now on Steam. Android Lust says, personally, I like to look with spiral stairs, but I'd rather use normal staircases than spirals. Are you talking about why, Android Lust? I mean, I like to look at a spiral staircase. I think it looks really interesting. It'll make a really interesting visual inside the game, like a nice focal point. Oh, in real life. Yeah, no, I agree. In real life, I prefer a normal staircase as well. Much easier to navigate than going around and around in circles as you go down. True, I agree. But for the game, like the game, I could have made the stairs straight going all the way up. You know how in a lot of games you come down, go down, that sort of thing. But a spiral staircase visually is much more interesting. So it's prettier to look at for the player as they actually play the game. It can be a little disorientating as a player as you're going up and down the stairs, though. It's still, because basically you're spinning around and around and around. But it looks cool. It's all about how cool it looks. Spiral seems more elegant. Yeah, and again, we're working on the game is, the house in the game is an Art Nouveau, Art Deco-y type house. So it suits the period of the building as well to have this spiral staircase. And it looks prettier as well, so that's the reason I did it. Yeah. Every other stairwell in the house, though, is a straight stairwell type. That's just so that when the player is running around the building looking for clues or whatever, it's easy for them to navigate. Whereas this spiral staircase, as you know, is hidden. It's really only going to be used probably once or twice in the game. Like the player is not going to have to keep running up and down the stairs, basically, is what I'm saying. So the spiral staircase won't be too annoying for the player, whereas all the other stairwells in the building are actually straight stairs because it's much easier and quicker for the player to run around. I wouldn't put a spiral staircase in my game if the player had to go up and down multiple times. That would get annoying. And it does. It gets sort of disorientating for the player as well because your camera is spinning around and around as you're going up and down. So if it's only going to be used once or twice, then the player will put up with that. But if it's something that the player has to continually go up and down, I'd go with a straight stairwell. Or even just one with a slight curve, a gentle curve around. That'll be okay. But not this spiral stuff. Not if they're going to use it a lot in the game. Because it does. It gets disorientating, distracting, and eventually it will just get annoying for the player. I'm just looking for a metal. Let's have a look at this one. This one might work. I'm going to pull that below the brass. We're going to put both of these in a group. And we're going to mask with color selection on the entire group. That's okay. I've got my mesh sticking through a little bit there, but this is going to be on the ground and never be seen, so that's fine. We can live with that. Now I'm just going to get in here and I'm going to add a smart mask. I'm going to go with surface warm. And let's play with the balance a little bit. Maybe pull up on the contrast. Pull back a little bit on texture 2. I want a bit of a sheen to it, so I don't want to remove the brass completely. But I do want it to look like it's been aged a little bit.
The setting could hardly be more perfect. New eyes, new vision for the world. An unparalleled blending of science and art.
Often it is difficult for a person to control a complicated sound synthesizer quickly enough.
So we still have a little bit of a sheen, but we're still seeing the
and do it more quickly
the rusty metal underneath of it.
than a human being.
And all this has been
Make it look old. Hellforge says I was excited to practice my circle strafe in those stairs, but now I don't even know anymore. Well, this is just me. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience. I mean, everybody's different. I'm not going to say you'll see me when I run up and down these stairs once we put it in the game. It's not an issue. Some people get sick very easily though. Like, you know, one of the major complaints some people sometimes have in a game is if the field of view is too narrow. Basically what that means is if the field of view of the camera is too narrow, when you turn your head around, everything moves really quickly and sways. That can make some people sick, which is why a lot of people like a wider field of view. It just helps with that motion sickness that some people get. It affects more people than some people more than others as well. Like motion sickness I've never actually got when I play a game regardless of the camera. But some people do find they can get sick, motion sick, if the camera field of view is too narrow. It's the same sort of thing with the spiral stairs. Just the fact that the camera's spinning around and around as you're going up and down the stairs can make some people queasy. Android Lot says if the game allows you to jump, yes it does. I think most players would try to jump down the stairs than to run down again. Well, that's true. And yes, no, you can play up, but you can jump in the game. But they won't be able to jump off of these stairs because these railings are higher than the jump height. This is stuff that the guys and I all spoke about and all worked out before we actually started working on assets for it. So while you can jump in the game, the railing will prevent you from jumping over. It's higher than your jump height. So, yeah, they won't be able to jump down. And the reason we've done that is because if you allow a player to jump off the step and hit the ground. And remember, these stairs are like 2 stories high. There's like, that's the second story is there, and the ground level is here. And they're really high ceilings in the building. A player jumping from up here all the way down here realistically would hurt themselves. You can't jump that sort of height without like breaking an ankle, which would mean we'd have to introduce a damage system inside the game for the player, which is something we don't want to do because it's not necessary for the gameplay. And it's unrealistic if you don't. If the player can jump that height and not get any sort of health damage, then that's not realistic. And we didn't want to include a health damage system, because it's not part of the gameplay, not needed. So. But you're right, most players, if they could, would just jump down. Hellboard says, totally, I do that most in games. I do, often enough I get punished by losing health. Yeah, generally that's what happens. Andrew Loss says, HP loss, time loss. Hellboard says, depends on the amount. I've killed my character once or twice by falling downstairs, which meant I lost even more time by having to backtrack from the previous save point. It's a good point, Phil. I didn't take that into consideration about the motion sickness. Yeah, the motion sickness is usually the main thing. Andrew Luss says, I'm still going to attempt to jump the stairs. Well, you can give it a go. Let's see if you can break the game. Well, you won't break the game. You'll just jump over the step, but you shouldn't be able to. We've actually calculated exactly how high you can jump, and we've made sure that anything like railings will prevent you from getting over them. Not for any gameplay reason. There's no reason you'd break the game by jumping over the step. It's just that then for realism, we'd have to add a health system, a damage system, all that sort of stuff. And then you start getting into feature creep. So it's really tempting when you make a game and you get all you guys, you get together and you start talking about the game and what it's going to have in it and what you're going to do. And it's really easy then to get feature creep, where one guy says, oh, wouldn't that be really cool if we put this in the game? And then another person says, oh, but what about this? This would be really cool as well. So that's the danger in games development, and that's why projects start blowing out as far as timelines go. That's where if you've got a good project manager, they've got to draw the line and say no. But yeah, feature creep, because all of these cool ideas take time and effort to implement in a game. And while it's easy, something you think might be easy and quick to do actually requires a lot of work to implement. So yeah, they're the reasons that you sort of tie it down. And that's why we decided that we're not going to include a damage system or a health system. It doesn't add to the gameplay. But in order for that to work properly, we have to make it so the character can't jump huge heights without getting any damage, because it's not believable. But you give it a go, Andrew Loss. If you want to try and jump it, you try and jump it. Healthwood says, do some sick rail grinds. Or butt slide down the rail. Yeah, actually that would be cool, although you'd probably break your neck. In real life, if you try to slide down this railing here, more than likely you get to about here and lose your balance and break your neck. But taking all of that out, it would be cool to slide down. Even just down the straight steps that are actually in the game now, sliding down them would be really cool as well, because they go down quite a few heights. So, but you can't do that in the game. Helpwood says, remember to save and drink coffee. Let's do we've only done one little thing. I could redo that if I had to. Well, let's save it anyway. Can't hurt. And again, I only have to worry about saving manually because I turn off quick save, automatic save on all my programs. And I do that because I don't like being interrupted while I'm working. Because generally what happens is when the autosave system kicks in, it sort of freezes the program for half a second or a second. I find that more annoying than having to manually remember to save. So I turn it off. I don't recommend you turn it off unless you do remember to save. Okay, let's keep going here. So back to my materials. Now, how do I want to texture this up? This is going to require a little bit of thought. Maybe a metal for the spiral helix here, for the helix in the middle of the step. Maybe. It could be wood. But because we're going to have wood on the rest of the stairs, I think metal through the helix here might look more interesting. So we might do a metal mix. What do we got? What do we got? Let's have a look at this one. Ignore the rest of it. We're only concentrating on the helix in the middle. Is gold, that's right, is gold. We're going to do a couple of mixes of a couple of different textures though, so let's have a look at this one as well. Again, we're ignoring the rest of the step. We're only going to be looking at the helix in the middle. I actually like this gold more than the other one, so I'm going to remove the one that we just added before. And I'm just going to go through and have a look at a couple of the others here. Yeah, no, I don't like that one. This is the other great thing about Substance Painter, the fact you can throw these materials down, have a look at them, decide if you like them, and just remove them. The workflow is really, really cool. I really like the workflow of Painter. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put both of these in their own group. And we're going to mask the group so we can just concentrate on what we need to look at, which is this central piece here. We're going to go back to our smart masks and let's look at let's see. Let's look at stains and scratches. Healthboard says gold stairs is the attic in heaven by any chance? Well, we have a gold toilet, remember. You guys wanted a gold toilet, so we have a gold toilet in the bathroom. Solid gold seat and lid. You guys wanted it, you guys got it. We have a Trump toilet. Andrew Luss says, yeah, the Trump toilet. White House confirmed. That's right. I mean, I have pointed out that it's how impractical a gold toilet seat is. I mean, I don't know. I know you guys in Europe, it can get very cold. Can you imagine sitting on a gold toilet seat in the middle of winter? Whoa. You'd have to have it heated. It would have to be heated somehow. Just going to see if there's another material we can add to this. Because, you know, why stop at 2 when you can add 3 or 4? More materials. All the materials. All the materials, I say. Healthwood says, easy, just put those fuzzy bright pink seat covers. Man, you spend mega bucks on a gold toilet seat and you cover it up with one of those pinky fuzzy things. I would just not have a gold toilet. I just think that's insane. Insane. Just gonna have a look at this. This is one of the smart materials I created. No, it's not doing it for me, that one. What else? Let's have a look at this one, which is one I created for a rusty bucket. Maybe. Again, we're going to move that into the folder for just the central piece. And we're going to add another smart mask. And let's have a look at the surface worn again. I tend to use, like, Substance gives you a lot of options with masks here, but I tend to gravitate to always using the same 3 or 4. Not saying the others are bad. I'm just saying that there are 3 or 4 that I tend to gravitate toward all the time that just do a good job for what I want. And the surface worn one is one I use all the time. Helpboard says it just gives a good look for most of what you're working on, so it makes sense to keep rotating the same. Yeah, well, that's true too. It does keep everything consistent as well. That's a good point. Consistent as in the look of the actual object, particularly too because we've created a lot of furniture for the game, which is why we created smart materials, so we could make sure that the color of the wood stayed consistent on all the different pieces of furniture as we worked on them. So number one, it helps save time because you create a smart material that you can then reuse on other pieces of other assets, but it keeps everything looking consistent, and keeping the same smart masks can help keep that consistent look as well. I'm just pulling this in just to darken it up a little bit, make it look a little bit more aged. Not too much though. We don't want to go nuts. We are going to be adding a dust texture to the overall thing as well once we've finished texturing it up. Alford says, same reason why I keep slapping on the moisture noise on the roughness. Although I admit it's a bit lazy for the stuff I do. 0 nuts confirmed on full stream. That should be alright. I just wanted it to be a metal just so it stood out a little bit more when we start adding the wood for the steps. Let's look at these large columns now, I think. Oh, large banisters, I should say, not columns. I've got columns on the brain because while we're working on this, I'm thinking of stuff for the cellar, for the basement of the building. That's neither here nor there. We'll move on to the basement later, but we're doing the attic at the moment. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Again, we're going to mask with color selection, and again, this is one of these smart materials I created. Just going to move up to the top as well. Helpwood says, will there be an old school wood burner water heater in the basement with some sick looking copper piping? There will be an old wood burner in the basement, yeah. There will be. I don't know about the copper piping. Again, I haven't really decided on the design for the basement yet. I'm just sort of thinking about different bits and pieces while I work on other stuff. So I've got an idea of where what direction I'm going to head in when we go down to the basement, to the cellar. But no, yeah, there will be a really old wood burner in the basement. Yep, for sure. Now I'm going to actually see if we can't mix a metallic with this wood. See if we can get an interesting mix going on. Just because you use wood doesn't mean you can't use metal as well. And I think we're going to look at, let's have a look at this one. No, not that one. It's a similar thing we did for the bed. If you remember when we did the 4-poster bed for the master bedroom, we sort of did a mix between a wood and a metal. No, not that one either. No, not that one. No, not that one. I thought it was this one. It just doesn't seem to be giving me the look that I want. That's quite annoying. Quite annoying. Alright, if it means I gotta do it by hand, I'll do it by hand. Helpful says, figured in horror games the lighting tends to be on the dark side of things, so having exposed metal pipes would give some nice reflection on back walls. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there will be some sort of piping somewhere in the basement, for sure. I just haven't decided on how that will look yet. Because you're going to have to go through the basement to get to where the lift will be. There's going to be like which we'll be working on at some stage soon, texturing it up anyway. But there's going to be like this ornate old lift with the glass walls that's going to be in a room beyond the basement. So you're going to have to go through the basement to get to this room, to get to this lift, which will take you then to somewhere else. What was my point of going on that tangent? So I do want pipes and stuff somewhere in those rooms, but I haven't quite worked out the design for that yet. You know, I don't like that one. I don't really like this one either. I'm sure it was this one that I liked. Let me see if I can't play around with this a little bit. We're really only concentrating on the large banisters. The rest of it, no. I know it can be difficult when you see it changing on the whole model, but we're really only looking at the banisters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to group these together. I'm just going to close everything up so it's nice and organized. I really should be renaming these groups as well. It's bad. I'm being bad. It's bad work practice as you work not to rename things so that you know exactly what they are. If I was handing this file off to somebody else in a team, you definitely want to do that. But because it's only going to be me working on this asset, then I'm being a bit lazy, but you really should be renaming them. But we're going to group both of these together. Like I've grouped it now, I should rename it. I'm calling it Large Banister. That's just so that if you hand it off to somebody else, they know exactly what that is for. We're going to mask with color selection to the banisters. And we're going to add a smart mask. Mercury says pipe organ went. No, yeah, no pipe organ. There won't be a pipe organ. That would look really cool, but I can't really see how I could work a pipe organ into the game story. I mean, not unreasonable to think that Mr. Barrett might have sat there and played a pipe organ, and it would look cool. But I don't think we've got time to model up a pipe organ, unfortunately. But it would look cool. It would look cool. And it would be creepy. Andrew Loss says, that's my workflow, never rename. Smokeberry says, you press the right key combination on the organ to open up a sliding wall. You look, there are all sorts of really cool things you could do with a pipe organ. And it would look really cool as well. I'm not saying it would look really cool. For sure. Yeah, I don't know. Where would you put it? Like, we've already done most of the rooms. The only rooms we've got left now are the attic, the kitchen, and the sitting room. And then we move down to the basement. They're the only rooms that are left to do, and I can't think where you could put it. I mean, the sitting room is going to be too small for an organ. It's a size, the same size as the study we just finished. So I don't think an organ would fit in there. And why would you put an organ in the basement? I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so. I do like the idea, and I do think it would look really cool. But I don't think we can actually go there. I don't think we can do it. Helpboard says, how about a steampunk heart? That's a pipe organ? That's a pipe organ. Oh, that would be cool as well. Smokeberry says, I'm offended by the lack of pipe organ. The one in The Ghost of Mr. Chicken was used to great effect in the creepy old abandoned mansion. What's The Ghost of Mr. Chicken? I'm not familiar with that. Append organ tower. What's The Ghost of Mr. Chicken? Are you making that up, or is that a real thing? Is that a game or a movie? I'm going to look it up. You're probably just being cheeky, Smokeberry Barbecue, but I want to have a look. The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. Oh, it's a TV trailer. You're never cheeky? Helpboard says sounds legit. It does seem legit. There is something here called The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. 1966. Cool. Let's have a look at the TV trailer. I'm intrigued. I'm just going to turn the music off though. Turn the audio off just so I don't infringe any copyright here. Made before any of us were even born. 1966. God, so 50s. 60s. Don Knotts, yes, Don Knotts, that's right. I thought he looked familiar. Some solid bark textures on that tree. And there was the pipe organ, I believe. Wow, that was very cool. And here I was thinking Smokeberry was just being cheeky as usual, but it was a real thing. So there you go. Let's look at throwing down this smart mask. Yeah, no, this mask is not doing what I want, so let's find another one. Let's have a look at this one. Andrew Lost says, Mr. Chicken, I get it. Smokeberry says he's afraid of everything and spends a night in the town's haunted mansion to report on it for a local newspaper. It's a comedy drama. I like watching all those old movies. So I might actually sit down and see if I can't find it to watch somewhere. Maybe it's on Amazon or something, Amazon Video. That's the problem with a lot of these really old, particularly TV series. Once they stop broadcasting them, they can be really hard to find, even if you want to buy them, because they're so old. I wouldn't mind watching it though. Helpwood says the oldest movie I've watched is one of the Marx Brothers movies. That's quite old. Marx Brothers, wow. So basically what I've done here with the gold is I've made it look like, again, it's a wooden base that's had like a gold paint overlaid, and so the paint has started to wear off. That's sort of the look that I'm going for here with just throwing a gold over the top. And it's just to add a bit more interest to the banister more than anything. Now the good thing about some of these smart materials like this Dust Soft Edges one is you got really fine control over the curvature of the of applying the texture to the curvature of the model. You can sort of dial it up and down as much as you want. Now you don't have that option with all of the smart materials, but some of them you do. That should be alright. I'm still seeing a bit of the wood. I'm just getting some of the gold happening here, particularly on these little round bits at the top. Okay, let's move on to another part of the step. Helpwood says, love the comedy in those. Nowadays comedy movies are all about cringe and I want none of it. Yeah, I know, some of the modern movies are pretty crappy, aren't they? I found even watching like stand-up comedians, you know how you can watch live shows that have been recorded of a stand-up comedian just doing a gig. I don't find a lot of them very funny either. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a bit of a stick in the mud, I don't know. So most of them aren't funny. I mean, there are funny ones, don't get me wrong, but a lot of stand-up comedians, their humour is... it's just not funny. And particularly some comedy movies as well, yeah, very cringy. Apart from like Deadpool, I watched Deadpool 2 again last night, and I really liked that movie. I thought it was cool. It was very funny. And number one of Deadpool 1 was funny as well. Smoothbury says the oldest movie I've watched is probably the Gold Rush, Charlie Chaplin, 1925. Look, I haven't watched any of those old movies. I mean, one of the classics, of course, is Metropolis, that really old movie. I've never watched that either. But that's supposed to be a classic. If you're into 1900s sci-fi. Helpwood says, not seen Deadpool yet, but heard good things. You should. You should watch Deadpool 1 and 2. They're both very funny. I mean, they're crude. It's very black humour. But it is funny. Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool. He's pretty good as Deadpool. Helpwood says the Dictator by Chaplin as well is one that I've seen. I haven't seen any of the Chaplin stuff, Charlie Chaplin movies. Okay, let's go back to our smart materials and let's find... Let's work on the smaller banisters, I guess. We'll do that. So what colour do I want to go here? Again, we're going to be keeping it similar to the other furniture we have in the building, and we've sort of, with the other furniture, we've made it a mix of chocolate brown and cherry wood. So chocolate and cherry. We're going to go with that sort of colour theme, just to keep a nice consistent look, I think. I just got to decide which I want chocolate, which I want cherry. I think we'll go... I think we'll go chocolate on the outer spiral. That could look interesting. So let me see. Let's have a look at this one. Android Lost says Deadpool 1 was great. I didn't see 2. Confusion! It's good to see you, Confusion. How are you? Did you have a good weekend? Are you staying healthy and safe in this human malware world we live in now? But it's good to see you, Confusion. I hope you're doing well. Mercury says 2 is also pretty. Yeah, Deadpool 2. I like Deadpool 2 as well. I think it's pretty. It's a good movie, worth watching. Let's also throw this one down, and we're going to group both of these together. And I'll be good and I'll name them as I'm supposed to be as I'm working. We'll call this one Outer Spiral. And we're going to throw a smart mask down to do a mix between the two. Actually, before we do that, we're going to do a mask with color selection just to the outer spiral. And I'm going to do a mix now using my surface worn, which is the one I like, my tried and true surface worn. And we're just going to pull it up a little bit. Maybe pull back on the contrast. We just want it to look a little damaged. We don't want it to look too damaged. We're just going for a bit of damage on the wood. Not too much. Confusion says, I am. Hope you're good too. Yes, no, I'm good. We are back in lockdown where I live here in Melbourne, Australia, but I'm okay. I'm healthy. It just seems never ending. We were in lockdown months ago and then they started opening things up again. And now because of the outbreak happening in Melbourne, we're back in lockdown again for the next 6 weeks. And masks are mandatory now. So if you live in Melbourne, Australia, you must wear a mask from tomorrow. It's law. If you don't wear one, you get fined. I think it's a $200 fine. So anytime you go out in public, you have to be wearing a mask. Alford says, Phil, do you happen to know how the bevel filter works in Painter? Not figured it out just yet. The bevel filter. I don't think I've used it. No, I haven't actually used the bevel filter. I haven't played with it yet. Because you're talking about, I know when I was watching your stream, you were talking about beveling, using the beveling the edges of your low poly model. And as I said to you back then, you want to make sure when you're doing a bake from a high to a low, particularly if you want a nice smooth bevel on a hard edge, that the low poly model is not too low poly. I know a lot of people think, oh, the lower I make it, the better it'll be. And that's true, but you don't want to make it too low. If your low poly model is too low poly, you're not going to get a good bake out from the high poly to the low poly, because the way a normal bake out works is it works on the vertex. It sort of it calculates the bake based on the vertices. And if you don't have enough vertices, which is why on a flat surface you can sometimes have problems, If you don't have enough verts, then you're not going to get a good bake out. So you want to make sure your low poly is not too low poly. But no, I haven't used the filter. Our help board says, and remember to save. Good point, let's do that now. Confusion says, can you show me the wireframe please, and how many polys that model will have? I can't show you the wireframe in Painter, but poly count, I think it's high. It's about I think it's about 45,000 polys. The model you see here, which is fine. Unreal can handle that fine. And again, this is a big asset in the game. It's going to be spanning two levels of the building, so it's quite a large asset. But it's about 45,000 polys. Again, I could bring that down. The reason it's 45,000 is because the actual geometry here has been modeled in. So I could reduce this to a lower poly model, do a bake out if I really wanted to get it down. But I've found that the Unreal Engine handles high poly models quite well now. So if my budget for polys was tighter, I could bake it down, and we could bake all of this detail that we've got going on here on the banisters into the normal map. I haven't done that with this. There's a couple of reasons I don't. If I don't need to do a bake down to a low poly model, I prefer not to, because the lighting in the engines now is so good that when you start baking down detailing like this, it never looks as good as actually having the actual geometry detail, because the light then can pick up on the geometry, whereas if it's a bake out, it can't really do that correctly. Not as nicely anyway. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could bake it down lower. A help board says that's right. I figured I'd ask. Yeah, no, sorry, I haven't played with it just because I haven't needed it for the work that I'm doing at the moment. I mean, at some stage when I get a bit more time, I'll probably sit down and look at a couple of other areas of Substance Painter here that I haven't actually even looked at yet, because it can do a lot of stuff, Substance Painter. And I only use a small part of what Painter can actually do, what you can actually do in Painter. I use it for what I need to make what I need to when I need it. I don't tend to use Painter for the ArchViz work. I only use Painter really for the game modeling stuff, the game texturing stuff. Helpboard says, yeah, I did a test on that one on one of the weapons. When I added a small bevel on one of the pistol grips, I got way smoother looking bake. Yeah, again, you want to just do one level of bevel, because I know when you do a bevel, you can, I don't know what it's like in Blender, but in Max you can actually tell Max how many steps to take in the bevel. So just one step. So you've got a bevel that's like that. It doesn't have to be like that, even if it's just straight. So you got 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to be round, so you don't need a lot of steps. But just one step will give you a much nicer bake out from your low poly model, from the high poly to the low poly. Whereas if it's just like that, where there are no steps at all between the angles, just one step will help the bake out a lot. It's not going to add a huge amount to the poly count anyway by just doing one step of a bevel. It's only going to start adding up if you start doing like 10 steps in the bevel, so you get a curve. Healthboard says, don't ask which weapon I... Why? Android Lust says, I didn't know Painter had a bevel feature. It's a filter, a bevel filter, yeah. Healthboard says you can change the segments of the bevel, segments, yep. Both on the manual bevel and the modifier. Yeah, Max is like that. It's like, I think they call it steps in Max, so it's how many steps in the bevel to make how round the bevel is. If you use one step, of course, it's going to be pretty flat, but that's okay for your low poly model. You can make your high poly model like 10 steps to make it nice and round, and you'll get a good bake out that way. Okay, let's keep going here. let's look at the steps themselves. Actually, let's look at the small banisters. So for the small banister, I think again we might go with a cherry. A cherry wood. Probably want to avoid going too ready cherry. So let's have a look at this one. Again, just before I do that, I'm going to throw down another one. So we've got that one, and we're going to throw down let's have a look at this one. Okay, we're going to group both of these together. I'm going to call this small banisters. And we're going to throw down a smart mask on top of both of those. And let's look at let's try the dirt soft edges. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. Before we do that though, I'm going to mask with color selection just to the small banister. Oh, it looks like did I make the step the same as the small band? That's not good. Well, we might be able to work around it. I thought I'd made the steps a separate color to the banisters, but it doesn't look like I did. Let me just make sure the tolerance is not too close. It actually was a tolerance. That was the problem. So we'll pull back on the tolerance. And we're going to play with the curvature here. Sort of hard to see on the banisters because they're quite thin. Maybe if we look at them up the top, we'll get a better look at them. Yeah, I really don't know that I like this smart mask. Might just remove that. We'll see if we can't find something a little bit better. Healthwood says exactly one step segment works well enough for the low poly. Yeah, one will be enough for low poly. On the high, I use maybe 3 or 4 plus subdivision surface modifier for extra smooth. Yep, that'll work. That would work good. So yeah, one step on the low poly, and then 3 or 4, and then a mesh smooth or a turbo smooth if you're using max. Hellforge says you can also. Android Lost says I mainly use 2 to 3 step segments on a bevel. Depends on the object. 3 gives subdivision a pretty solid edge. Yeah. I wouldn't go below 3 on the high if you're gonna do a subdivision or a turbo smooth. You'd probably want at least 3. But the low poly, just keep it to 1. 1 should be plenty. Hellforge says you can also change the profile in Blender on the bevel. Default is the outward rounded. But you can also do inward facing bevel and it gives more milled look to it. You can do that with Max too. Max's bevel chamfer tool has a lot of different profiles for the actual bevel that you can change. Okay, let's go through here and maybe we'll just go with the standard surface worn. Let's see what that gets us. Let's just don't want them to look too new. I'm just trying to age them up a little bit. Just also not sure if I should change the orientation of the wood on this outer helix. What I might do is I might pull back a little bit on the height, I think. Not that one. Let me find the right layer. I believe it's this one. No. Is it this one? No. It will be this one. Light range is turned down on that, so it's not that one. Is it this one? Nope. It might be this one. No. I'll get there, I'll find it. No, eventually I gotta get the right one. Okay, height is turned off on that one. Yeah, I'm just not sure whether the wood should be running up that way or running that way. Helpwood says that's pretty sweet. Maybe Max isn't as terrible as my users have been telling me. Yeah, Max is good. Remember to save. Yes, I must. Let's do a save. Android Love says, personally, I would change the orientation. Yeah, let's have a look at that. So we're going to have to go through and let's do a 90-degree rotation on these. This one. Yeah, I agree. I think it's better with the wood grain flowing around that way. I just need to try and find, I think it must be this one. Just going to turn the height information off or make sure it's switched off for the underlying layers because I really don't think it needs it. So it might be the normal map that's doing it. Yeah, it's a normal map. I wanted to get rid of that bump. It was just too bumpy. It needed to be smoother. Let's just do a quick save. Let's. Android Lost says delicious wood grain flow. That's right. Which is true. The wood grain, like when they made this, you know, wood is generally elongated. When you're making a piece like this, you've got an elongated piece of wood that they're bending around. So the grain wouldn't really be going vertically, it would be going horizontally to follow the curve of the wood. So let's look at the steps themselves. Let's have a look at, let's see what this one looks like. And let's mix that with, no, we don't want that one. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, let's put both of these in their own group. I'm going to call this steps. Healthwatch says that makes a lot of sense. I had no idea how that kind of piece is made though. Yeah, they bend the wood. Let's mask this with color selection to the step. Now we're going to make sure we pull back on the tolerance as well because it's going too far. Now that's interesting. Why is it doing that? Helpwood says it's all about the small details that take a decent object and make it a great object. That's right, coffee. Good point. Just let me try and work out what I've done here. What have I done here? What have I done? What? Phil's confused. What's Phil done here? Why are you doing this? Phil has done something somewhere. I think it's this one actually. I'm confusing myself. Hang on. Okay, so this is the one. Oh, I think it's because it didn't put them both in the same group. Okay, that's what it's done. There we go. That's better. This is the problem when you start working with layers within layers within layers. Alright, so we've masked that just to the step. I think what I'm going to do is I might do a rotation on the direction of the wood grain. Okay, I have to pay more attention to my typing here. I don't want a 360, I want a 90.
I don't care what they do. I don't care about anything else but being with you.
90. That's 90. Good. Same thing again, the height information is way too high. So I need to go through and turn that off. We want the stairs to be quite damaged because people have been going up and down them, so they're going to get a lot of wear and tear. Okay, how are we going for time? I think what I might do here is I'm going to I'm going to reuse the same material here. So I'm just going to find which one that is, which is this one. And we're going to add color selection and pick that as well.
I'm gonna beg you to stay. I don't care if they stop or avoid me. I don't care what they do. I don't care about it.
Okay, let's look at the banisters themselves, and I think for them we probably want to go, we could even reuse this one as well. Let's see what that looks like. Let's pick another color and choose the banister. No, I've changed my mind. I don't like that, so I'm going to undo that. I might actually make the railings a metal. Let's see what that looks like. So let's see, what do we got? What have we got? Let's have a look at this one. And let's also throw down this one. Let's mask, group both of these together. Come on, you can do it. And we're going to call it railings. And we're going to mask the color selection to the railing. And let's go with a smart mask. Again, we'll go with the surface worn. Okay, let us also mask with color selection again, and let's see what these edges look like as a gold brass. That's fine. The only thing, I don't like these small banisters. Something about them just doesn't look quite right. So I'm going to go back into my smart materials. And we're going to find that folder, which is this one here. It might be the mask I don't like, I think. Yeah, I don't like the red. I think the red is too red. So I'm going to choose another material. Well, either that or we could just change the color of this one. Let's see if we can do that. Might be easier. So let's pull back on the color of the red. Darken it up a little bit. Let's do a quick save. We may have to finish this piece off tomorrow because I want to take a little bit more time to make sure everything is blending correctly. I don't want to rush it, and then we need to add like a dirt layer as well. And I might even go through tomorrow and we might just do a bit of hand painting of a bit more damage on the steps in certain spots. Again, it's a major asset in the building, so we want to make sure we do it properly. We don't want to rush it. So we'll finish it off tomorrow, but I do want to have a look at the work Android Lust and Hellforge have posted in the gallery. So let's start with the image that Android Lust posted. And let me just catch up with the chat here. Hellforge says, might be time to add those color groups to make it easier to keep track of things. Well, that's true. Sounds like a good plan. So let's have a look at the image that Android Lust has posted in the Discord server. Android Lust has done some beautiful character work, and I love this. I think that's one of my favorite characters, Android Lust. She looks great. Texturing's beautifully done as well. Really nice. Nice render too. I think, what were you saying that you were using? What did you say, Arnold? You use the Arnold renderer. Yeah, really nice. Beautiful modeling, beautiful texturing. Great silhouette, great looking character as well. She looks great. Even down to this huge ring she's wearing. Beautiful work. And I love the fur as well, the thing she's got around her. Arnold renderer, yep. Hellport says about the same age as Spell 2 by the colour of the hair. You are so cheeky. You get a Phil slap. How rude. Phil slap for you, Hellport. My hair is not that colour. But beautiful work. She looks great. Absolutely great. Down to the Gucci as well. Love it. Yeah, it's probably one of my favourite characters so far, I think. I like all your characters, but particularly something about this one. The expression on her face, the quality of the render, the texturing, everything. It looks really good. It's worth it. Hellforge says worth it. Confusion says Gucci. Yes, Gucci. What do you mean you found out you're still done with it, Android Lust? It's very nice. It's a nice render. He's done a really good job. Yep, Gucci. The concept had it. Yeah, no, it looks great. Beautiful work. Beautiful texturing. I just want to have a quick look at Hellforge wants some feedback on an image that he's working on as well. So let's just have a quick look at this. I'm just reading what you wrote in Discord, Hellforge. Could do with some feedback on this one. Right now it's more rough block out than anything close to done. Lighting and materials a placeholder for now, but any feedback or comments are welcome as it'll give me a better direction to work towards. What sort of feedback would you like? I mean, I like the modeling. I think it looks cool. Is this open to the sky? I'm assuming these are like open areas, or is it a light? I don't know which. If it's a light or open to the sky. If it's a light, then I'd probably throw more light on the side walls. Android Lust says, still done with Arnold Render. I think you did a great job, Bum. It's a light fixture? Okay. I don't think it's throwing enough light. If it's a light fixture, you know how it's lighting the sides of the walls up here? I'd increase the value of the intensity of the light to make it stand out more along the wall. Yeah. I can't pronounce your name. Iran. Yo, Iran. Good to see you. How old are you? Well, that's a personal question. I'm not going to tell you. But welcome to Phil Does 3D iRun. I can't remember. I can't pronounce the rest of it. I run to rescue. Oh, yeah, iRun. I'll just call you iRun. Welcome to Phil Does 3D. Elfwood says it's really dark though. Oh, it's really dark. What do you mean? Android Lost says to Helpwood, the light beside the door could possibly use another light color. I'm not sure if he means these lights here that look like they might be they look like they're running up the wall, like there's lights on the floor that are illuminating the wall there. I'm talking about this light up here. I would have thought it would throw more light along the sides of the wall. You don't have to light the entire thing. It just mood lighting, so just the intensity of the light to be a bit brighter, so it lights up the sides here a bit more. It's hard to tell, really. It's just looking a little flat. That's sort of like where I'm trying to come from. The lighting looks a little flat. I just think the lights need to be more intense, so that they're lit in certain areas more than others, so you got more shadow going on, just to give it a bit more mood. Smurpery says she's seen some things and some stuff. That's right. Smurpery is correct. I'm old enough to be your Uncle iRun. Well, there you go. Or your granddad. Oh, man. I'm old enough to be your granddad. Well, I don't know how old you are, but you get a pill slap because you're being so cheeky and rude. Pill slap for you, iRun. You can call me grandpa if you want, if it makes you feel better. Hellforge says the overall scene, not enough light. Yeah, it's not that not that there's. How am I trying to? I'm not explaining this really well. The lighting just looks a little flat. So it's not that the room isn't lit enough. It's lit enough, but it just looks flat. So to me, what I would do is I'd increase the intensity of the lights, so that, but don't flood the entire room with light, so that the lights add more shadowy areas. Do you know what I mean? So increase the intensity. I don't know if this is in the Unreal Engine or how you're rendering this out. Increase the intensity of the light, but reduce the radius of the light. So if you were working in Unreal, up the value of the intensity, but reduce the radius down, so it's throwing more shadowing. Just it'll make it look more moody. Even if you don't want to increase the intensity of the light, maybe reduce the radius, like I said. So more shadows are being thrown. It makes the room look a bit more moody. Hellforge says those in the mid are inset pretty deep in the ceiling. Okay, fine. Yeah, well, look, I get if you don't want to increase the intensity, but maybe reduce the radius, just so there's a bit more shadow going on. I mean, it's not bad. I like the placement of the light. I like the design of the corridor. The modelling is nicely done as well. It just looks a bit flat. Like the light is being cast too far. But again, it's hard for me to say. I mean, I get you don't want to have areas that are too dark. But I try reducing the radius of the lights so that they're not all intersecting with each other so much, so that there are areas that are a little bit darker. Like maybe the areas like under here, under all the sides of the columns. Again, it's hard for me sort of to describe what I mean. I think it might be the radius. The lights are just they're casting too wide light. The light is going too far from all the individual lights. If you pull the radius down, you'll get more shadowing happening, and it'll make the areas look more interesting, like where this light is under here. If you got more of a bit of a darker shadow happening in the corner here, will make the image look more interesting. Hellforge says, yeah, uneven lighting is the goal to emphasize certain areas. Yeah, that's what I mean. Use the lights to add emphasis to certain parts of the image, of the model, of the room. Don't flood the entire room with too much light. I notice that a lot with games, particularly indie developers. They like to really flood their levels with light, and it ends up making it look really flat. Whereas if you look at the game that we've been doing on the House on the Hollow game, you'll notice that there's a lot of really dark shadowing and stuff going on. Now that's a look that we're going for that game. We want it to be dark and moody and spooky. But it also helps to highlight certain parts of the rooms. It makes for a more interesting looking image. Smurfberry says it's missing some mid and high values. It's mostly just dark. Smurfberry says look at the spectrum. Smurfberry also says histogram. Histogram is the word I was looking for. Elford says I get what you're saying and it makes sense. Yeah, look, if you play around with it and if you get stuck, then jump on the Discord and ask us. Or I'm back on stream tomorrow as well, so you can ask me then. Mandroid does says, would you say it looks too monochromatic? Yeah, well, yeah, I think that it looks monochromatic because the light is just it's just flooding too much of the area. I think if he just adjusts the lighting so he creates more shadowing, I think that'll improve it quite a lot. It's too much light. It's making everything look very flat. Well, yeah, the lighting is mixing too much. Helford says everything in the render is done in Blender. Okay, modeling, texturing, lighting, and renders. Okay. Well, it could be something to do with the way it's been rendered in Blender. But if you're going to be using Blender for the render, then I'd adjust the lighting to make it so there's more shadowing happening. It's not enough shadows, not enough darker shadows. And the best way to do that will be to reduce the radius of the lights. If you don't increase the intensity, which I get if you don't want to, but reduce the radius of the lighting so the lights don't travel so far into the room, each individual light. It'll help to add more interest. And yes, if you do want to wishlist the game you saw me working on the asset for today, you can click that link that Healthforge has just popped in Twitch chat. That'll take you to the Steam store page. But I think we might call it a day there today, guys and girls. We will finish working on this stairwell tomorrow. I do want to thank you, though, for hanging out with me and for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will, of course, be back on again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is 10 a.m. in Australia, 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. You'll experiment? Good. Super rough block. Yeah, look, I get it. They're early shots. I get that. Smurf has just popped some information in the Discord about the image as well. So check out what Smurfberry put in the Discord. He's talking about the histogram. Yes, I will be back tomorrow. I do want to thank you guys so very much for being here and hanging out and watching. Ellipsis, thank you for the follow. To Mana, thank you for the sub. I will see you guys and girls at 10 a.m. tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific in the United States. You guys take care. See you guys.